ask the coach about. Let's bring in Coach Gentry, joining the Cattle Show, Sports 1140 KHTK on this Thursday. Coach, as always, we appreciate you. We appreciate your time. I've got to ask you, how do you feel about these back-to-back games in the same city?
I don't think it's a bad thing. I really don't. It's actually pretty convenient, and it's no different than what baseball, some of the other sports do. So I think it's okay, really.
Yeah, I would imagine that, a little less travel isn't the worst thing in the world. And, Houston's a pretty cool place to hang out at. Alvin Gentry with us. All right, let's talk about Davion Mitchell, Coach. Where does he have to improve the most as a player when you watch him?
I just think just the experience of being on the floor and, some decision making every now and then. But the only way you get better at that is to be on the floor. So I think it's typical. He's going to be a very good player in this league for a lot of years. And just the idea that he's getting out playing, he's worked a ton on his in shooting, and it's very much improved. He's worked as far as creating plays and things like that, and he's getting better at that. So, like I said, to me, it's just the idea of being on the floor and experiencing those minutes out there in those situations.
We talked about this earlier in the show, Coach. Houston in the second half, to start that third quarter, I thought they made it obvious. The statement was, we're not going to let Davion beat us, and they started to blitz him and double him. How do you think he adapted to that and adjusted?
Oh, I think he did fine in that situation right there. He had a turnover down the stretch right there, but it was trying to do the right thing, and that's going to happen sometime.
Coach Alvin Gentry with us here on the Nick Cattle Show, Sports 1140 KHTK. Do you believe Davion is a starting point guard in the NBA, Coach?
Sure, I do. I think he's a starting player in the NBA. So that's all that matters. And we somewhat play positionless basketball anyway. So yes, I do.
Does anything surprise you about his game from when you've seen him at the very beginning of this year and camp and all of that? Has anything surprised you as far as progression, maturity, development, anything?
I don't think any of it has surprised us. If you did any intel and talked to his coach, at Baylor, you can see he has all of the qualities that you have to be successful in this league. If anything surprised me at all, it was the explosiveness that he went to the basket with last night on the dunk that he. I thought that surprised a lot of people in the arena. But we've seen it. But in that situation, to have that kind of explosiveness and going to his left, by the way, I thought it was it was one of the better plays I've seen this year, really.
Yeah, he caught a body. He caught a body and embarrassed a young man. It was a fantastic play. Coach Alvin Gentry with us here. Somebody else who's kind of caught the eye is Donte DiVincenzo lately, Coach, especially when he's been in the backcourt with Davion. What makes the Davion backcourt so difficult to score against?
Well, I think both of those guys are very good on the ball defenders. They're both are really tough guys. They're intelligent defenders. And I think that helped too. Like I said, I think Donte played for one of the better college coaches that there is, and the way he prepares them for the NBA, it's an easy adjustment for them. I think both those guys are just tough guys that can get into the ball, and I think that's very important.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. You look at college coaching, you look at the college programs both those guys came from. You're talking about tournament teams, deep run teams, well-run teams, all that kind of stuff. Damian Jones, when you look at him, right, we talked about him a little bit last week and how he stepped up even though his minutes have been erratic after the trade. Yesterday, again, he was fantastic against the Rockets. He got into some foul trouble. If he didn't get in that foul trouble and had to sit down early, I don't even know where his numbers would have ended up. I asked you if Davion's a starting point guard in the NBA. Do you think, Coach, that Damian Jones is a starting big in this league?
Well, I think in the right situation, he could certainly be. When you can put up numbers like he did last night, obviously, he wouldn't have those numbers night in and night out, because if he did, he would be Anthony Davis or somebody. But he is capable of those numbers, and I think as long as you know him and know the work that he put in and the solid knowledge of the game that he has, yeah, I think in the right situation he could be.
Coach Gentry with us. Coach, Trey Lyles is interesting. He was a lottery pick, came out of a top program, had a good season or two in the league. Then he kind of fell off the radar a little bit. He's playing so well for you guys lately. Was it just opportunity? Is that all he needed?
I think so. I really do. I think that, sometime in this league you bounce around a little bit until you get in the right situation. I use Avery Johnson as a example for a lot of people in the situation right here. I think he was released 5 times before he ended up in San Antonio, and then had what is almost a Hall of Fame, if not a Hall of Fame career there. So Trey is still young. He's not an old guy by any stretch of the imagination, and he's played very good basketball for us.
You played Josh Jackson a little earlier in the rotation than usual last night. He played more minutes than he's played as a King. Over these last 5 games, Coach, will we see more of that mixing and matching and maybe giving some opportunities to guys that haven't had as much opportunity recently?
Yeah, I think we'd like to do that. I think, like I said, for Josh to get out there and play some quality minutes, I think is important. We like to take a look at Nemi, in situations, maybe try to get him some minutes out on the floor some. But, these last games, you'll probably see some different rotations and some different combinations of people on the floor.
Coach Alvin Gentry with us. Coach, just 2 more questions for you. Lots of Kings fans focused on the draft lottery. I know that you're not focused on the draft lottery, but how much of the college game do you get to watch, and do you watch a lot of it?
I do watch college basketball, and I try to keep up a little bit on what's going on. Obviously, not to the degree of our scouts and what our GM and assistant GM do, but I like to know guys' names. And when the season's over, I usually like to get tape of the guys that we're trying to zero in on, so I can at least know something about them.
Last one for you, Coach. Obviously, Coach K, he's winding down his career. Final Four on Saturday against North Carolina. Just your thoughts outside looking in. I don't know if you have a relationship with Coach K, how much of a relationship you guys have, but your thoughts on Coach K as he gets ready to call it a career.
Well, first of all, to last at any place for 42 years, and especially in that conference, the competitiveness that is in that conference is amazing. He's a tremendous coach, obviously, what he did with Duke and then what he did with the USA basketball team is second to none, really. So it's a great way to leave. Obviously him making the Final Four, I think, was very important, not just to him, but to the players that are playing for him right now. So, and then to go to the Final Four and have an opportunity to play North Carolina, I don't think the script could have been written any better than to have those 2 schools, which is, an unbelievable rivalry. But not only that, I don't think people realize just how close those 2 schools are from a distance standpoint.
Right.
I mean, it's basically a 15-minute drive to the Duke campus from North Carolina's campus, So it'll be interesting to see. But, he's wrapping up Hall of Fame doesn't even start to explain that. He's just wrapping up one of the greatest careers in sports in any situation in any venue, really.
Coach, again, thank you for the time. We appreciate you. Be safe. Safe travels. Enjoy yourself down there in Houston. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you. There goes Coach Gentry. And a lot of good stuff there. Trey Lyles, again,